Welcome to this training session, where we'll cover the information you need to plan for customer success. My name is Jason Shave. I'm a Senior Customer Engineering Architect in the Skype for Business product group, working in customer engineering and deployment. This training content is part of the early plan phase in the Skype Operations Framework. As we update and revise content, there could be a chance this material could become out of date. Where there's a need to update this content, we'll make sure that it's available on a constant basis. This is the April 2017 version of this training, and for more information, you can go to skypeoperationsframework.com/academy. And lastly, please send your feedback in. We do review the feedback on the website and look forward to hearing from you. Now let's dive into delivering planning for customer success. Within the soft journey, we find ourselves at the very beginning, before you've made any decisions about how to configure or deploy the product. There are a few key takeaways we want you to know and understand when we're done. First of all, we all know that proper planning up front can mean the difference between a well-run engagement and a complete disaster. Well-executed projects don't come about by accident. We'll talk about the importance of quality and how you can bring about delighted users while ensuring you achieve your business outcomes. Lastly, we'll have a self-assessment exercise to compare your customer's organization against sample areas of excellence in categories like executive sponsorship, readiness and adoption, and operations. You can use the assessment to understand your areas you need to focus on in your soft journey. So why are we doing this? Ultimately, we want you to succeed. It's difficult to succeed on projects of any scale and complexity, and successful organizational change is key. We also want you and your customers to be informed. The details are critical here. Have you gathered enough information about requirements, business objectives? Is the environment ready to adopt this cloud service? Have you considered what it takes to succeed? Who are the people? What are the endpoints? What are the network components? Who's the sponsor? What other pieces haven't you thought about? Do you also know the areas you or your customer need help? Are you fully aware of all the risks? Who's involved, engaged, and ready to move this thing forward? And is the executive sponsor bought in to moving it forward? So the message here is pretty simple. The better informed you are about a complex change across the organization, the better chance you have of being successful. As you can see indicated by the banner in the upper right corner, this slide is taken directly from the workshop. You'll see this banner throughout the presentation whenever we use a slide from one of the assets. Looking at the agenda, we start by identifying the qualities of a successful engagement. You'll dive deep into these qualities to better understand their value. Next, you'll undergo an assessment to understand you or your customer's readiness against the 6 pillars of a successful engagement. Lastly, the outcome of the assessment will highlight areas you need to focus on to achieve your business objectives. When delivering this workshop, there are key individuals who need to be involved upfront to ensure awareness of responsibilities are known and buy-in from key people and teams has been achieved. For example, many IT projects start within IT and involve IT staff, like the collaboration IT pro, and maybe a project manager. Starting an engagement from within IT without a project sponsor and without representation from the business can create a misaligned and poorly delivered engagement. The key here is to start the project off with proper representation of the organization, not just IT. It's important when delivering this material to restate the importance of not only a strong team, but a comprehensive representation of the business in general. Land the message that each person's contribution is important to achieve customer success. Okay, let's get started by looking at the 6 pillars that make up a successful engagement. We start the content off with an overview of the 6 pillars. You'll want to explain the importance of these areas, but really don't need to go into too much detail. In the following slides, you'll find specific content for each pillar, which will allow you to drill down further and solidify the points being made. We believe that excellence in execution of these 6 focus areas or pillars will ultimately bring a successful engagement. Your focus should be on the understanding the value of each pillar and how proficient you or your customer is in these areas. Next, to ensure the value of these pillars are known and understood, we'll take a deeper dive into each one. Keeping in mind you should be reflecting on your readiness and ability to execute excellence in each pillar. You are here because you or your customer's organization is about to embark on substantial change. Well-executed organizational change management starts with solid executive sponsorship. It's important to drive this message up front, which is why we've listed it first in this workshop. The number one obstacle to success for major change projects is ineffective sponsorship. The right project sponsor can articulate the value of the engagement throughout the business. They influence change, navigate difficult blockers, and convey the message of value from the top down. While we may assume each pillar has equal value, statistics show a higher degree of success in engagements with effective executive sponsorship. If you're not seeing nodding heads around the room after delivering this content, consider stopping, asking questions, gathering consensus, and moving on. If you're a soft partner delivering this workshop, this is your opportunity to express your value. You probably recognize the fact that not all customers can execute an end-to-end cloud services engagement without some assistance, and you know the value of being involved upfront and early on. For our customers, the Microsoft Fast Track service can help guide you through highly transactional tasks like mailbox migrations, Skype for Business account migrations, and support escalation. Having Fast Track engaged early will help ensure you understand your requirements and deliverables upfront. As you or your customer begin your soft journey, you want an experienced, certified partner to guide you, offer advice, and support people through organizational change. Remember, customer success is at the center, and it doesn't happen by accident. The right people can make all the difference when it comes to success. As you may realize already, end user satisfaction is often a result of a great adoption strategy. As a partner, you bring value to the discussion about organizational change. I think we all recognize that most organizations have a good understanding about the value of great adoption and training. However, not all of them execute on these areas effectively. The Skype Operations Framework includes assets to guide customers through this pillar and surface areas they may not have considered before, such as the Rate My Call feature, Net Promoter Score surveys, and other feedback strategies. Consider asking yourself or your customer which projects have had the greatest impact and success. Ask them how they handled things like communications, adoption, and training. At this stage, it's more about listening to what works in their organization, landing the value of these topics, and then coming up with a plan you can both execute on. Lastly, with respect to gamification and incentives, the most successful engagements with the highest level of adoption and the most delighted users employ some form of one or more of these strategies. Your value add in an engagement around incentivizing the experience can help drive adoption and improve end user satisfaction. Just as important as the other pillars, we have endpoints. For the purpose of this discussion, let's refer to endpoints as the hardware that connects people to the software. This marriage of great software to great endpoints will also bring about delighted users. Since many of the endpoints available vary greatly on things like fitment and customization, involving people in the selection process brings a sense of inclusion and gives them the opportunity to provide feedback, resulting in a collaborative device selection process. There is sufficient data to support the fact that inadequate endpoints, such as a built-in PC speaker and microphone, can create a negative user experience by causing poor audio to be heard or captured. This doesn't mean you have to spend a lot of money on a headset or a handset, but rather making sure the endpoint meets people's needs and is selected from our certified endpoint list. If the engagement involves cloud PBX functionality, you'll want to have the discussion about third-party integration of endpoints like analog phones, security systems, door buzzers, and overhead paging. These focus areas are meant as talking points to make people think about the scope of change that's about to happen and the areas for potential impact and consideration. When we think about Skype for Business as a unified communications platform, it's capable of facilitating critical discussions over voice and video, and the network is usually the first pillar we point to. This is because most organizations, partners, and even end users recognize the value of a solid network to transmit and receive their communications in a fast and reliable way. Engaging early with a network resource to start the discussion about factors like QoS, network monitoring, bandwidth analysis, and capacity discussions is key. You might surface areas for improvement to quality or capacity by engaging in a network assessment. You might also need to whitelist Office 365 IP ranges and ports through devices like WAN accelerators, deep packet inspection firewalls, or proxies. Since any one user could potentially call or communicate with any other user in the organization, you're looking at potentially organizational-wide changes. Having those discussions early and frequently will ensure you're best prepared to have a plan to deal with it. The last pillar we'll talk about is operations. Included in the operations pillar are discussions about people, tools, software updates, and the ongoing management of the platform. First, you should ask yourself, do we have the right people involved to support the solution after we've moved into production? Are our people trained, ready, and do they have the tools to do their job? Does the service desk know about the project, and are they involved? Additionally, ongoing operations of the environment should include a patch management strategy to keep clients no more than 5 months out of date. Don't forget about Mac and mobile as well, since these platforms often go through a high rate of change, resulting in bug fixes and new features. There will be cases where people could be experiencing poor audio, or they might be having trouble getting connected to a meeting. Understanding poor quality percentages through tools like CQD can give you insight into a particular office or poor endpoint device. Navigating call records and advanced call analytics reports can help you drill down into the details of a call or a conference, and then surfacing feedback through Rate My Call can finally give that opportunity to be proactive and understand who needs help even before they call in to create a support ticket. Customer success is at the center of these 6 pillars. Let's talk next about the self-assessment. At this stage, you've prepared and delivered the 6 foundational elements to a successful Skype for Business engagement. This is your time to ask yourself or your customer to reflect on what they've learned so they can assess their own environment. Here we have the self-assessment slide, which gives you the opportunity to open up dialogue and discuss each pillar. The rating on the right should indicate their level of proficiency or readiness on the topic. You might consider printing this slide beforehand and giving it to each team member in the room. Just ask them to circle a high, medium, or low on each topic, and then collect the results to open up further dialogue. Not everyone will have the same responses, so giving people the opportunity to answer privately will yield a more realistic result. You might also consider reviewing these ratings throughout the engagement. The ratings provided will tell you the areas your customer needs to focus on so you can create activities to improve the success of the engagement. The table shows examples of excellence you can use to form your rating on each topic. Next, we'll look at some sample activities and soft assets you can leverage to start your soft journey. After talking through the self-assessment, you'll want to think about what activities you need to work on and which soft assets you can use to drive excellence into each of the 6 pillars. This slide provides you with some of the sample activities and sample assets you can point to. By exploring the Skype Operations Framework website, you'll find even more assets available than what we have listed here. Now you're ready to start your soft journey. You've opened up dialogue about the 6 pillars to customer success. You've assessed the current state so you can have meaningful conversations about areas for improvement, and you have a multitude of assets to leverage. Customer success is just around the corner. Finally, you can visit the SkypeOperationsFramework.com website for all things soft related, including this downloadable content. Our soft blog is a great resource for technical information relating to features, issues, and general discussions about the product. And Skype Academy is your resource for all things related to soft training. This concludes our training exercise on planning for customer success. Thank you for your time.